I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Yes or no? Did you ever take banned substances to enhance your cycling performance?
Yes.
I had no prior knowledge of the planned assault on Nancy Kerrigan.
I am deeply sorry for my irresponsible and selfish behavior I engaged in.
What's up, guys? Welcome back. Oops, the podcast. We're deep in September. We are enjoying ourselves and our lives, and we're doing it. Giulio Gallerati, joined by the king himself, Ryan Lynch. How you doing, Lynch?
I'm doing swell.
Good to see you. Looking good. Today
Thank you.
we are joined by a very special guest. This is his second appearance on the podcast.
Yeah.
Many years apart.
Yeah.
A hilarious comedian, an OG in the scene. He has 4 albums that
That's
are
how
also
you know you're getting
killing.
old.
And great comic. Please give it up for Graham K, everybody. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Welcome back to the show.
Yeah. Thanks for inviting me.
You're welcome.
Yep.
I
In a
just have
couple
to
years. You got to space old Grandma out.
You got to space old grandma out.
I just have to say, superficially, everything about your outfit is like a dream to me.
Oh, that's really nice of you to say.
Yeah.
Thank you, King.
I'm going to follow you home
Thank you, young King.
and take your outfit.
I'm wearing my actual merch.
Oh, nice, dude.
Yeah, this is a Graham K limited merch. The repurposed Dead Kennedys logo, and I made it into a GK instead of a DK.
I was going to say there's a punk rock feel to it.
Certainly is.
Certainly is, Graham.
Goddamn right.
Very good.
Yeah.
Do you ever go to the Warsaw concert
Yes.
venue in,
Yeah, all the
in this
time.
neighborhood?
Yeah.
Was it typically like punk shows?
It's a lot of rock and roll and punk shows. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know why that is,
Yeah.
but
So interesting.
they have a really good sound system. I see like my current favorite band. I see them there all the time.
Who's that?
The OCs. They come and it's like incredible. It's like my favorite band comes to 2 blocks from my house
That's unbelievable.
once a year.
It's crazy.
And they have like kind of like a Dead and Co. Fish kind of following. They're not that kind of music at all. They're like garage punk kind of like, I don't know. I guess like Old White Stripes kind of is the closest kind of,
Got it.
I guess. Anyway, but they have like a small but committed group of 35 to 45-year-old.
Is that the typical demo?
I think so, yeah. There's some like young kids. I mean, definitely they have like young kids and stuff, but that come out that like that kind of music. But it's like a lot of like people of my ilk. Like I was in the like garage rock scene in Brooklyn and New York. I worked for Vice in like the early 2000s, and like I see the same
Yeah,
people.
yeah,
I used to
yeah,
see
yeah,
it like
yeah.
like venues like pianos and stuff back in the day. And
Nice,
yeah.
dude.
So
yeah,
look-
Warsaw. So it's this like concert venue. It's right near my apartment, and it's in Greenpoint, I guess, technically, but like near Williamsburg.
yeah.
And it's not really open that often. But when
No.
it is, there's typically like people who they wear these clothes that don't fit them anymore a lot of the time. There'll be people wearing
These are my
like
people.
leather.
I call them retired hipsters. It's just we're just holding on. We got our little skinny jeans on, our and I've got our tight tees, and it looks. I say it looks like when you squeeze a marshmallow and then you let go, and you see all the handprints in it.
Yes,
That's what we look like. We're just.
I wasn't including you in that. You have contemporary style.
Thank you. Yeah.
Welcome.
Yeah. I see what the kids are up to.
I see what the kids are.
I take the subway a little east.
Yeah.
Pop my head up and go. Take my little notes and get back under. Go back west where I'm safe.
Dude. Well, I have a couple. So there's a couple of things I've been thinking about. You always have these great stories, many of which I'm fascinated by. There's 2 of them I'd like to cover in specifically today. But before we get to that, I was in Winnipeg recently. As you can see, I'm rocking the merch.
Go Jets.
Go Jets. I found it to be a very fascinating city. I was staying downtown.
Yes, I remember. I gave you little.
You gave me some good.
Cups. Were they good? Okay, good.
They were good. You gave me some good recs.
Okay.
And it was nice to be up there, but I wandered around a bit. It's not the most pedestrian-friendly city because, for example, if I'm standing across the street and I need to get to the other side of the street, I might have to go in this sort of like underground Minneapolis / Montreal-esque indoor world.
Yeah.
And you get disoriented. It's hard to figure out where to go. And it doesn't help that basically the entire downtown's deserted.
Yes.
Which gives it this post-apocalyptic feel.
First time I was there. Go ahead.
No.
First time I was there, I was I was there to visit family with my dad. We're not from there. We're from up near. I'm from like.
You're from Ottawa, right?
From Ottawa, which is the capital of Canada. It's east. It's near like upstate New York. Blah blah blah. Who cares? Anyway, Winnipeg's in the middle of the continent. It's like north of North
Manitoba,
Dakota.
north of North Dakota.
And it's the anyway. It's the most isolated city in North America.
Really?
The nearest closest city is like Minneapolis, and it's like an 8-hour drive.
Yeah.
There's nothing within an 8-hour radius.
Interesting.
Of this place, so it's very bizarre. Anyway, I was there with my dad. We had like a 4-hour layover, and we got into a cab, and we were like, take us to the city center. And then we got out, and I swear I've never seen this in my life. There was nobody on the street. We're in the city center, like where the tall buildings are, and there's like 4 tall buildings in this like, where the 2 big roads meet. And then there was nobody there, and I saw a tumbleweed, and the only person I saw was a drunk, like fall down drunk pregnant woman.
Oof.
And my dad and I, we flagged down a car. It's for real. We go, where are all the people? And he goes, what are you talking about? And he drove away. That's Winnipeg.
Dude, yeah. Bizarre city. The downtown certainly is like deep in its doom spiral. Like there's nothing going on there.
Yeah.
And this is what I think. So I'm not Canadian. So there's certain specific thing, obviously, that are slightly different about it that intensify the experience. So, you're in New York, you're walking around, and there's like homeless people, and they're asking you for money and shit.
Yeah.
And you're like, no, sorry. And maybe some of them will be like, oh, you don't have any money? Fuck you. Some of them will be like, God bless you. Some of them won't say shit.
Yeah.
Okay. Instead of that scenario, picture that the person asking you for stuff, or maybe not even asking you for stuff, is a 6'5" native woman.
Yes.
Who's screaming, fuck yeah.
Yes.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Like belligerent, intense, giant, strung out and drunk native people roaming the streets were so aggressive.
Yes.
And it's this like self-fulfilling prophecy too, where like if you're native and you live a normal, respectable life, all the people still like follow you around in the store and shit. They like think you're going to steal.
Yeah.
There's like the spirit of the racism there is ripe.
It's our our great shame as a country.
Yeah.
The woman that was pregnant that was drunk, by the way, was native. I didn't want to say it, but since we're on the topic, but yeah, it's a big problem in Canada. We had speaking of oops, we stole all their children for 100 years and put them on to try and like cut their hair.
What were the schools called again?
Residential schools.
Residential schools.
Yeah, and then they found a bunch of like children would disappear and parents would be like, "Where's my kid?"
Yeah.
And then they found a bunch of bodies and under the Catholic churches and stuff.
Right.
And then they almost canceled Canada Day like 5 years ago.
Jeez.
Because when all the bodies turned up.
Jeez.
But here's the thing: is that happened in America and nobody even cares.
Okay, so
it's not even in the news.
So there's an interesting thing though with this. So
Oops.
So it's funny because people, I was reading about this, and I was like, what's the difference between the way that the natives are treated in America versus Canada? And the first thing it says is this discussion is counterproductive because Americans do not deserve to be let off the hook with their treatment of natives.
It's the same. We did the same.
However,
thing.
no, there's a key difference.
Oh, okay.
The key difference being here they tried to give them autonomy, and in Canada they did not.
Oh.
In Canada they tried to sort of force them to mesh into society.
Oh, okay.
Which was just like a massive failure.
They didn't do the same. They didn't.
Massive.
They didn't have residential schools in America.
I don't know. Yeah, but I mean, like obviously America here in the U.S. they did not do an amazing job, at least. With all that stuff, it doesn't seem like. I mean,
No, that doesn't seem like it.
I couldn't tell you the specifics about it, but it seems like native populations are fairly marginalized.
Oh yeah,
throughout the entire continent.
I dated a woman who was Native and American, and she was like, "We don't even make the news," and it's like the worst. What's happened to us,
dude?
No one even talks about it.
Jesus.
Yeah. She was like, at the time there was a football team called the Redskins. She was like, there's a team called the Redskins.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
She was like really justifiably
right
angry.
I think that they're one of those teams, the native population was protesting to get the name changed back. I think it might have been the Redskins. They
Yeah,
were, like,
yeah.
upset that they were changing it.
Yeah, of course. And the owner Dan Schneider, he funded a fake study that said that natives were fine with it.
Oh, funny. So that was just all bullshit. Damn. what
He
a
was like, this
dog.
tribe likes it, and the tribe was like all white with beards, and like
It was just you and me.
like 2% Native American in them. They're like, we're the Irish tribe.
Well, dude, so I was there with Jeff R. Curry and Jeff Sheen. Who you know Jeff?
Three of you, heavy hitters.
We're heavy hitters up there.
Yeah.
Are you friends with Jeff Sheen?
Yeah.
He's a good guy.
Great guy.
So
Yeah, funny. Lunatic.
so he and
Got
I
dead eyes.
decided that we were going to go to the Human Rights Museum.
I've been there.
And dude, I'll tell you a couple of things. First of all, anybody who we told we were going there, we're going, oh, why are you going there?
Yeah.
Everyone was like upset that we were planning to go there, which we thought was odd.
Yeah.
And we both agreed that the museum is one of the great cop-outs we've ever seen in our lives.
Interesting.
It was the most convoluted, broad messaging about how all humans deserve, and very, like, you had to look very closely to find the residential school content. It was all mixed in. Typically, when you go to a we fucked over a certain group of people museum, they specifically focus on that group of people until the end. And then at the end, you get into the broad and the other stuff that happened. But 90% is about this thing that you did.
Yeah.
Not here.
No.
Not here.
No, it's like, look what America did.
Dude.
Look what they did to black people. We're fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, we love to pretend that we're.
Is it just because it's too soon? Like, is it happened too recently that they're?
I mean, you're asking questions I can't answer. I don't know. I don't know. I thought the museum was great. No, I'm kidding. I don't know.
No, there was things about it that were cool.
I think. I mean, it's not too soon. It's like it's been going on. I don't know. I don't know. I don't really remember the museum that much. I do remember being very sad though.
Yeah.
I took a date.
Oh no! Wow.
Yeah. We were like in sort of like a long distance sort of thing, and then,
She showed up.
yeah, we were she
lived in Winnipeg?
Well, no, she lived in like Western Canada, and we met in the middle,
Got
and
it.
yeah,
Got it.
mm-hmm.
Nice weekend. Otherwise.
Yeah. Don't go to the Genocide Museum.
Yeah.
You only get a couple days together.
True, but again, I will say not that heavy of a genocide museum because it was very confusing.
Yeah, it's confusing. There's not a lot to do there. You did your best.
Yeah, we tried.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
overall, I thought it was a fascinating town. I love that the Jets are back. I love a city where the people are stoked about the team.
Yeah.
It's so much more fun.
Yeah.
So that was cool. And I bumped into the cops when I was in this like winding thing, and they're like, "What are you doing down here?" I was like, "Oh, I'm just trying to get back here." They're like, "Well, lucky for you, we're going that way. You shouldn't be alone down here." I was like, "Oh,
Oh, really? In the underground?
okay, yeah." I was like, "Okay, wow."
It sounds more ominous than it is, underground passageways, but it's just a mall.
Yeah, where there's nothing open, especially on the. I got the impression that during the week maybe stuff was a little bit more open because there's still people who commute to work down there.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, fascinating, odd city. They were also saying that the weather's particularly bad there.
We call it Winterpeg. And we're from Canada.
Yeah, right. So, but that's the thing that's odd about it. There's other cities that are like north. I mean, and it's supposed to be colder than Edmonton, which is way further north.
Yeah. Well, what happens is the winds get, like the Rockies are west of there, and then it's all flat around Winnipeg.
Right.
So the wind picks up just about top speed right over Winnipeg. Right when it just hits maximum, fuck you.
Right.
Yeah. It's truly like why is Canada only have 10% of the population? Why does Canada only have 10% of the population of America? You can work hard and become rich if you're poor. The average life expectancy is longer. People make more money on average there. There's less super rich people for sure. But the reason is the weather is bad. When you're taking the boat from Europe, people went left. They're like, yeah, I think I'm going to want to live in the Carolinas and not Winnipeg.
Yeah, Winnipeg is like a top 10 coldest big city in the world.
Oh yeah, I'm from the coldest capital in the world.
Really?
Ottawa, yeah.
Really?
It's just as cold as Moscow, or it's the same, or whatever it is. It's a nightmare.
Jeez.
Yeah, my grandparents my mom's a refugee. She came with my grandparents from former Czechoslovakia, and they wanted to get to New York, but my grandma was sick. She had like seasickness, and they thought it was like, I don't know, typhoid.
Crazy.
And the next stop was Montreal, which is a great city.
Great city.
And my grandpa, no internet.
No internet.
In 1952. My grandpa was like, well, I want to, he was like a dignitary in the old country. You know, he was head of the Czechoslovak consulate in Marseille, France.
No way.
And he was like, you know, I want to go where the action is.
So why'd they kick you guys out?
Oh, because the communists took over and killed all his friends.
Got it. Yep.
And they're like, you should come back to Czechoslovakia. And he was in Marseille. He's like, well, no. I killed all my friends. What the hell do you think you're going to do to me? Anyway, so he's in Montreal, and they're like, I want to go where all the action is. The capital's where the action is. And Canada's the only country in the world where the capital is not where the action is. And they just were just in Ottawa.
It's one of those, it's like an administrative capital.
Yeah.
It's kind of boring.
Yeah, they're supposed to be, they couldn't choose Montreal as the capital or Toronto as the capital. Those would be the two natural capitals.
Couldn't they?
Because one's French, one is English. So the other side would get angry. So
Lynch, you ever been
the
there?
Queen of England chose a logging village in between.
Interesting.
And that was Ottawa.
I mean, it seems like, Lynch, when's the last time you were in Canada, pal?
I haven't.
Never in your life been to Canada at all.
No,
when
I
you said
haven't been
hadn't,
yet.
I meant Ottawa, but no Canada.
Go to Montreal.
We got to get you up there.
It's a 7-hour drive from New York. It's a 1-hour flight.
Yeah.
It's one of the world's great cities.
I'm interested in Montreal and Toronto.
Yeah, both good cities.
Yeah.
Montreal airport is way too big. It's actually shocking how much more space they anticipated they would need.
Well, it was it was like a huge city. It was like on the rise, and then they tried to separate in the early 70s, and then they tried to separate again and make their own country in the 90s, and then all the like business left, so it just remained stagnant.
Are people annoyed at the French-speaking people in Canada?
Yeah. Well, no. I mean, well, yes and no. It's like there's always been a rivalry. The French Canadians are like, you English, you're like, have no culture, and you think you're better than us. Fuck you. And the English are like, you're snobby, and you want all these rights that, you know, no one else has, so screw you.
Yeah.
And then it's been like that for a couple hundred years. We're having a good time, you know?
Well, it's funny.
If I had to move back, I would move to Montreal.
Yeah.
I love it there.
Yeah, it's a good city. I like it too. I always find it interesting that in every like federal space, like there's French and English, and then I don't hear a person speak French the entire time I'm there, unless
no one speaks French outside of Quebec.
Quebec, yeah.
There are millions of people in Quebec that do not speak a word of English.
That's cool.
They have laws saying that signs have to be in only French.
Yeah.
If you are a business and you open up and a sign is in English, they will take it down and you are fined.
Wow.
They call the language police.
They
came out in the early 90s or late 80s. I remember when I was a kid, and it was like a big like freedom thing. It was like, what are you talking about? This is a free country. And they're like, no. And there was all these like Italian restaurants that was like
in French,
and that had like Italian words, and they're like,
God.
must be in the French.
Oh my God.
You can't do double language signage there?
I think they had to. I think it had to only be French.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
I think it still does.
Top 5 cities in Canada. Go.
I don't know if we're gonna get that deep. Number 1 for me, Montreal. I don't know. If Toronto's great, Montreal might be too small. Montreal's too cold. Montreal, Toronto, Vancouver are the 3 hits.
Mm-hmm.
Then I'm gonna go Halifax, number 4. Number 5 is probably to visit or live. To visit?
Visit, yeah.
St. John's, Newfoundland.
Ah.
Most bars per capita. Everyone in Newfoundland, they were their own country until 1948, and they speak with an Irish accent.
No way.
I played it to an Irish guy. I was just in Scotland for a month, and I played it to like Irish guys, and they were like, he sounds like he's from County Cork. And that's how they sound. They sound like that. They fought World War II as Newfoundland.
That's crazy. That's cool, dude.
Let's go get them, boys. They're isolated fishing. They're isolated Irish community on an island, so they weren't affected by other.
Right.
They didn't hear other accents until
crazy.
like the 30s when radio came in.
So cool.
So they're just like, they love to party, and if you're not from there, they will bring you to their house to get you drunk.
That's sick.
It's such a fun place to do comedy.
That's so fun.
The cab driver, you're like, where are you two there, boy? And I was like, what? Where are you two? Where are you from, boy? And I was like, I'm from Ottawa. He's like, oh, you come from away there, are you? That's nice. Well, welcome to the Rock.
Yeah. That's the musical.
Yeah.
Which is phenomenal, by the way. If anybody, I don't know if it's still on Broadway, but it's the best musical I've ever seen. Come from
I wish
away.
I could see it. Come
Dude,
from away.
It is.
That's what they say.
Phenomenal.
It's about 9/11 and all the planes had to land in Newfoundland.
Yeah.
And they'll all be like, oh, they come from away.
Yes.
And then everyone's like, what?
Yeah.
All these like New Yorkers are hanging out in these newfies. And newfies are so nice. They invited everyone to their their mom's
everybody
house.
stayed at people's houses in the town
Yeah.
because they were stranded at the airport for a while and they all just immersed themselves in the town.
It was like,
Oh, you come from away, boy.
Is it a musical?
Well, it's a musical that's about the true story during
Yeah.
9/11.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a musical. It's so good.
yeah. And you got to get screeched in. That you become an honorary Newfoundlander, and you have to go to a bar with a shaman, and it's like not a real shaman. It's just a drunk man. And and they have a codfish, which is like the fish they have out there, and they have like a frozen codfish, and they'll bring it out, and you have to kiss it, like an uncooked codfish. Nice. And then the guy comes out with it, is like, we're screeching somebody in now, and all the music stops, and the bar just looks at you, and then he has like a big like some dumb funny speech that they all thing, and then they give you a plaque and you sign it, and he signs it, and you can hang it on your wall, and then you kiss the codfish and you do a shot of Screech, which is like their very bad rum that they made.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
I would love to do that.
And then you're screeched in, and he does like a little thing, and everyone goes there.
Ring the bell.
Yeah. Fuck yeah. Yeah.
Dude, well, this is good. I love the sound of this. I got to get up there.
Yeah.
Are the comedy shows heckly?
No, they're just good. They're so happy that someone flew to Newfoundland.
That's sick.
They're like, we can't believe you're here.
I love that. I will take that energy over people being annoyed because their place is overrun by tourists.
Yeah.
Like the opposite is always so rewarding. People treat you like a king.
Newfoundland will never be overrun by tourists. It's like
Too
hard
far.
to get to. It's like you have to want it. You have to want it.
Can you even fly direct from here?
No, you'd probably have to do a layover in Halifax,
Got it.
where I went to college.
Isn't Nathan from Halifax?
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. He's from out there. They're also like old pirates.
Yeah.
Like you could see it in Nathan's eyes. He comes from the sea. And he's lost his accent for sure.
He had one?
Oh, 100%.
Interesting.
Yeah. I've been out there, and he's from like he's from like where they talk like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Crazy, dude. All right, dude. So I want to take a quick pivot here. This has been a wonderful Canada discussion that I've enjoyed.
Yeah.
I can tell Lynch is inspired to make his maiden voyage up north, across the border, which I'll never forget, by the way. Last time I was there, I had to like do work forms for whatever reason. So I had to the customs was slightly more in depth, but the guy was like, oh, so what are you here doing? I'm like, comedy. And he goes, well, I guess what I'm supposed to say is break a leg, eh? I was like, oh, that's the most Canadian moment of my life, dude.
This episode of Oops the Podcast is brought to you by BetterHelp.
Lynch, I don't know about you, but I love therapy. I think it's such a valuable tool. Even if there's nothing going on in my life, if I'm completely happy and everything's great, I still think it's a valuable tool to just kind of get in there and figure out what's going on in your life. There might be stuff there that you could improve on that you have no idea about. I think it's just a great diagnostic check-in for a human being to be doing that.
And you can also assess what's going really well in your life.
Yeah.
And then, figure out how to keep that going too.
Yeah, absolutely. Any way you look at it, to me, it's worth doing. I know there's people who sometimes seek it out because they think they need it also. Regardless of what your situation is, if you are seeking out a therapist relationship, we highly recommend doing it through BetterHelp. It is a digital, wonderful way to connect with a therapist, whether it's through your computer or your smart device. Do it right from your home. It's super flexible, and it's an amazing way to get paired up with the right person for you. That is, in my opinion, is the best part of it. So you fill out a questionnaire, and after you've done that, it sort of will recommend a bunch of therapists based on what you answered. But by taking the questionnaire, you also sort of figure out what it is that you think you should be working on if you haven't thought about that previously. And if you have, this does a much more thorough job at it. Before you know it, you're like, oh, wow, like I didn't realize X, Y, Z, et cetera. You know what I mean? And from there, it's very easy to pick a therapist. It's very easy to switch a therapist. It doesn't feel as heavy switching away from a therapist when you don't actually have to see them in person. You just click a button. Never have to talk to them again. To me, like that was always the thing that was difficult for me with in-person therapy. You go to the same office. It's really difficult to switch. It's hard to find a place that takes your thing. And then once you're there, if you switch, now you have to see the person around the office, and that can be awkward. So BetterHelp, to me, streamlining, efficient, modern way to go after therapy, improving your life, or working on whatever it is you want to work. BetterHelp is where it's at.
So rediscover your curiosity with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/oops today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/oops.
Graham has a bunch of funny stories where like he was around when insane things happened. You told me one, and I don't really remember it that well because you told me this a while ago, but I don't think we covered this on the last pod, and I want to talk about it now. You were on a flight that had a crazy emergency landing one time.
Oh yeah.
I'd like to hear about this because
I get a big break, and I get this like I'm living in Toronto, and I like got a high. I won some award, and I got some big high-powered agent in LA.
Well, don't be humble now, boy. What was the award you won?
I won an award at Just for Laughs Festival it used to be a big festival, the biggest comedy festival in the world.
Up until 3 months ago.
Yeah, up until it exploded. Yeah, one guy took out $100 and they went bankrupt. It's a very Canadian story. It's a very Canadian showbiz story, I will say.
Okay, so anyway, so you had a big come up, you made a bunch of cash.
Well, I didn't make anyway. So I had this big high powered agent all of a sudden, and she was like helping me get a work visa so I could move back to America, and because I'd been deported, and so I was living in Canada, and she was like, she got me this big audition, and NBC was gonna fly me down a day early and put me up at the Universal Hotel on the lot. And I got like business class flight and everything.
Sick.
And I was
Were you testing for a show?
yeah, and I was gonna have a night to myself in the hotel to go over my lines. I had to actually like do some minor writing involved in it, and I was kind of counting on that. And then I had
on booking the job.
Well, on that night to prepare.
Yes. Okay.
By myself, you know, in the hotel room, because I just had some more work to do on it. And I had a crash landing, and we landed in Des Moines, Iowa.
Okay, but we need to hear about the way this crash landing went
I
down.
will. Yeah.
And then you were intending to?
Yeah, we're like in the middle of flying over America, and then I hear like I look at we start turning in like a circle in like the middle of our 6-hour flight.
So how quickly was this circle happening? Was it like a gradual long circle?
Enough where like when you take off, and then the take off, the plane banks.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, we're turning, but we'll stop turning, and it's fine. And certainly when we get up there, we're going to go straight for a while until we get to our thing, because it's a plane. Correct. And they go straight. Correct. They don't need to do hard banks in the middle of the trip.
Surely.
Once you chart a course, you go straight as the crow flies, as they say.
As they say.
And sure enough, we're in the middle of the continent. We start doing a hard turn. Not good. I look at I look at the screen, and the screen that tracks your flight, and it has a tracer on it. And the tracer is just a circle, like a bunch of circles. We keep turning, and now we're way above the clouds. Like, when you're like, the clouds look like the ground. They're so far. Yeah, like
when you're flying to Europe or something.
Yeah, we're way above the clouds. And then I hear I hear the landing gear come down. And I'm like, this is bad. We're twirling around. We're way above the clouds. The landing gear is down. And then everyone starts like, everyone's like, and then the pilot comes on and he goes, yeah, folks, we have we have to do some, we might have some Hot Wheels coming on here. And like he clearly doesn't know what to say. And he lets it slip. He goes, we have got some Hot Wheels and we have to do some, we have to open the wheelbase and get some air in there. And everyone's like, and then he goes, there's a small fire and we have to do some diving. And then he goes and cuts off. And then we start diving to try and put out the fire. And then people are crying. The woman beside me is crying.
How intense is the diving?
Not where you lose gravity. You still have gravity.
But you're just like taking those, like when you land, when like occasionally you'll have like a bigger moment than the rest.
Yeah, yeah.
So you keep doing that.
Yeah, okay. It was just alarming how quickly the clouds that were so far away were now close.
Yes.
They're coming really close. You're looking out the window. The woman's crying beside me. The stewardess is knelt beside her.
Just telling her if this
holding
happens.
Her hand.
Is she saying anything reassuring?
She's like, it's going to be okay. She was scared. You could when they're scared, it's bad. Yeah. And
how could you tell she was scared?
Because she just, you could tell it's never happened before. She wasn't like, she didn't know what to say. Another steward just went and like sat down in the chair and like strapped in and did the sign of the cross, but like a tiny one, like a little like,
just
like, you know, like sometimes they just go like that. Yeah. And then
how many people on the flight are panicking?
Like half of them. Maybe.
Are you panicked?
I tried not to seem. I was like, I remember thinking, I put on my shoes in case we crash in a cornfield and I had to run.
So meaning like
that's
the plane's on fire
fair.
and you need to escape the explosion.
Yeah, if there is one of those slide situations.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking like, this is crazy because, you know, you sometimes, like how many times in your life do you think you actually might die?
Right, not many.
Not when you actually might. You think, oh, I have turbulence sometimes, and you're like, oh, that's crazy if I died.
But like the flight attendants are still walking around.
Yeah.
And even if they're not, everybody's calm.
Yeah, you don't actually think you're going to die. This was like one of the few times in my life, maybe the only time up to that point, where I was like, I might die here. There's like a 20% chance I could die right now.
Where'd you come up with that number? Just like you were quickly computing
computing. I don't know. I felt the landing gear's down. I don't know. That's good.
If the pilot was
land.
It's a 20% chance we're going to die, guys, but 80% chance we won't. So be right back.
Yeah, that's kind of what my brain was going. And then it was scary. It was really scary. And then we did an emergency landing in Des Moines. That's not an international airport. We hadn't passed customs. We do like a fairly we're like a quicker descent, like not like one of these, but like normally you go like, you know, it's like a gradual land and it's like a little bump, and this was like a because they were coming in hot. Yeah. It wasn't crazy, like we didn't hurt our spines or anything, but it was like a wow, like it moved your head, and then all the ambulances and fire trucks are waiting for us and like following us. And
just in case, did they need to go into action?
No, they didn't. And then we took the ladder stairs out and got off pretty quickly. We didn't need to use the slide. And then we just stayed in the airport that night, sitting up. There was no beds. There was no cots. There was no food. We just sat in chairs in the airport. We weren't allowed to leave. And they had police, so we couldn't leave because we didn't pass customs yet. And then I didn't get to work on my audition. I got no sleep. I arrived a plane. They finally fixed another plane.
What, you had to be on the same airline?
Yeah, I just.
It was what, Air Canada?
I couldn't move because I didn't pass customs.
What airline?
Air Canada. And we had to wait for Air Canada to fix it, and then they I eventually got to LA. I arrived to my audition 1 hour late. and I said, but I was in a my plane. I was my plane emergency landed. I was in like a plane crash almost.
Yeah.
And they were like, yeah, right. And then,
What?
Yeah, and I didn't get it.
They didn't believe you?
No, they didn't believe me at all.
What?
No.
That is absolutely crazy.
It sounds like
on
I was
the
making
news?
it up. No. Wow. No, it might have been in like the Des Moines.
That always freaks me out a little bit. The amount, because nobody died. Nobody was even hurt. So it was fine. But the amount of times where there's like a moment where you felt like you were going to die that they don't talk about.
Yeah.
Those definitely happen.
And I also did need that gig.
Oh, yeah.
Like I think like I was not.
The amount of times I've needed that gig.
Yeah.
I've had that same situation, in fact, that you're describing with where you go. And there were these other actors who were like successful, who were like waiting to do the same thing as me.
Yeah.
And the one guy who I've seen since, he was trying to I thought he was trying to psych me out, but now I think he actually was just being normal. He was like, which one is this again? And I was like, is this guy fucking with me?
Yeah.
Like, this is the biggest moment of my life.
Yeah.
I think he was serious. I think he had tested for like 10 shows or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I was wearing the outfit of my character.
Yeah, yeah.
Which I was thinking about earlier today. I'm like, was that overkill?
No,
Like, should
it's
I
not.
always do that forever? But I feel embarrassed now. Somebody was like, oh, that's so cool that you do that. Like, wow.
That's what he said?
That's what some other lady said that was there. She goes, it's so cool that you do that. Wow. She got the part and I didn't get it.
You're going for the same part?
And I saw, and you see your contract. No, but we were there the same day
Yeah.
because they were doing all the different roles.
Yeah, I was in chemistry reads for How I Met Your Father.
Actually?
Yeah.
Did that show get made?
Yeah, oh, eventually.
Nice.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Greta Gerwig was going to be in it, and then she pulled out, so it didn't go. And then they redid it, and they made it eventually with Hilary Duff.
But did that fuck you that she pulled out because you were already doing the reads, and then when there's nobody left, they just don't. They think it's a bad omen, and they don't use you for the next round.
No, well, that might have happened, that last one, but it did. No, that didn't fuck. What fucked me was that I bombed. I bombed my final because you see the call, you see the audition sheet, and it's like, well, there's 4 people, and these aren't famous people.
Yeah.
I have a 1 out of 4 chance of being a famous rich person. If in the next 10 minutes I kill it.
Yeah.
Don't ever think that.
Dude, and the thing that sucks so much about it is that you've had
Worst audition of my life.
Dude, the amount of
yeah.
How improbable it is for you to be at this moment.
Yeah.
So like you had audition number 1, you had audition number 2, you had director session, whatever. You did a million things.
Yeah.
And now there's 3 of you left and you still don't have that good of a chance. There's a 33% chance or whatever.
Yeah.
And then you don't get it and it's as if it never happened.
Yeah.
You have nothing to show for this. And you just signed a contract that says you're going to make $30,000 an episode. The show ends up getting made and they do 25 episodes. Back in the day, it was like NBC.
Yeah.
You're doing the math in your head
Yeah.
and then it's nothing.
Yeah, yeah.
And you're just still a loser.
Yeah.
Do they ever put you on a list for like
Normally I'd be
reference
insulted
to
if you
other
said-
shows?
They say that, oh, but they saw you, and now that you've tested, the next time your quote will be higher, and then your agent never calls you again, is what happened to me.
I booked a pilot right after that.
Oh, nice.
And I was in a pilot, and it was between us and Sebastian Maniscalco's show. And then they made the pilot. It was with,
Have you seen it?
the pilot was great, yeah. Or Sebastian's show?
No, you're a pilot.
Yeah, it was great. And it was Bill Lawrence. Bill Lawrence was like the wonderkind of NBC.
Good old Bill Lawrence.
He made like a bunch of shows. He made Scrubs. He made Cougar Town. He made a bunch of stuff.
Oh, so in your head, you're like, oh, this Bill Lawrence is making this.
This is the Bill Lawrence one.
This is gonna go.
They want him to do it. He was great, and it was a funny show. And I was gonna. It was Vladimir Kamano,
yeah.
and it was a sitcom where he lives with his family in the Bronx. And
It was
his dad,
he wrote it?
yeah, and his dad was the super. And I was the guy who worked at like the Home Depot.
This is different from Bill Lawrence? This is also Bill
Same
Lawrence.
one. It was the same show.
And that show never happened.
Yeah, and then and Bill Lawrence was like, I've never seen someone get so many big laughs out of just like lines that aren't supposed to be funny. And I was like, hell yeah, I'm gonna be in another Bill Lawrence show.
Yep.
And then they chose Sebastian Maniscalco, and
Fuck, poor Vlad, bro.
Yeah.
And Vlad was like had an LA moment too. He was like in a bunch of shit. He was like
he was in
a bunch of shows.
Bunch of shows, yeah.
Yeah.
He's still doing well though.
Yeah. No, I'm sure. I'm not
Yeah.
saying he's not, but
Yeah.
He had like
I had an LA moment.
solid one. You did.
I do not have one now. Yeah.
Yeah, same.
But it's fine though. I mean, I wanted to be focused more on stand up and live in New York anyway. So
Yeah. Well, so Graham's opens for Nate Bargatze, who the cat's out of the bag now. You were saying this to me a few weeks ago before it was like a thing that people were talking about, but like this guy was the top selling comedian of the year. He bested Chappelle by like $40 million in ticket sales. But that was announced recently.
he sold 1 million tickets. I'm not joking. 1 million
That is
tickets.
Unbelievable.
Every weekend.
Unbelievable.
Every week you see comics and so impressive.
Oh,
Impressive. And they'll post, I sold out an arena, whether it's Madison Square Garden or in Toronto where the Raptors play. Incredible achievement that they did that. Incredible achievement they did that. Nate does it 3 to 4 times every weekend.
It's unbelievable.
And people still don't know.
Unbelievable.
We perform on average to 13,000 people. He does it in the round, so we get up to 18,000.
Crazy.
19,000. He's done 22,000.
Unbelievable.
And it's like, well, that was another show.
Unbelievable.
And he sold 1 million tickets. Let me tell you something. There are 330 million Americans. Now, that's 1 in every 330 Americans saw him live.
That's wild.
And that's not factoring in babies and old people.
Yeah. Right.
Like
Who are incapable of.
like 14 to 80 years old or 75, whatever you want to make it's like one out of 200 probably saw him. You know what I mean? I don't
Unbelievable.
know how many babies. There's a lot of babies, but
But
yeah.
dude, no, it's like, and it's such an interesting thing because this guy, I remember there was a period of time where like everybody knew he was great and that he was going to have a huge career, but like it took a while. And there was definitely times where everybody was kind of like, is it possible that it's like not going to happen for him? You know what I mean?
Maybe
You were in it and you knew
I was
already?
in it and I was watching it go up and up and up and up, and it's like not an overnight success. It is. It's. I watched him start booking clubs every weekend, and then I watched him start getting a door deal every weekend, which means that you have so many fans that you don't need the club to provide the people.
You know you're going to sell out.
The club needs you because you automatically provide the people.
Yes.
So you make way more money.
You make like 10 times more money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know some people like that. And then the next phase is you move out of comedy clubs because they're too small, and then you go to like 500, 400 theaters, and then you do 1,500, like 1,000 to 1,500, and I watched them do that, and then it's like 4,000, and I watched them do that, and then I watched them go from 4,000 to 18,000.
Jesus.
There was maybe a 6-month period where we did like 8, 10 to 10,000.
Unbelievable.
And we were like, holy crow.
Unbelievable.
You know? And then it was just like,
Yeah. Incredible.
yeah.
Incredible. What an incredible thing. And what
his
an
new
interesting thing to say.
special is his best work.
Crazy.
It hasn't come out yet. It's coming out. It's like, usually that's when, it's like as if Chris Rock had a Bigger and Blacker, and then his next 2 were better.
Right.
And Chris Rock is a phenomenal talent, is an amazing comedian.
Yeah.
Original voice, like all the hard things, he did it. And it's like, but people slow down. Nate is grinding, getting the new jokes, working on the new jokes, putting them in the percolator for like a year, 6 months, sharpening them. And he's at the height of his powers right now. And it's
Crazy.
really fun to watch, because when you get that famous, every crowd is a bringer show.
Right.
You know what I mean by that?
Yeah. Every person there is somebody who's there specifically to see you.
When you first started on comedy, in order to get stage time, that isn't a bunch, isn't like a bunch of comedians and you're performing in front of. But if you want to perform in front of real people when you first start out, you get tricked into doing a bringer show where you have to bring 5 friends. And then the other 5 people on the show have to bring 5 friends. So everyone in the crowd is someone's friend.
Yeah.
So they're like the hottest crowds ever. And you know.
Well, the only thing that's different,
there's 18,000 friends watching it.
but it's better because the bringer people, they just are your friend. They don't necessarily like comedy.
Yeah.
So like sometimes the audiences make no sense.
Yeah.
And they also just care about their friends, so they don't. This is like these people are fans and they're like comedy fans if they're fans of him.
Dude,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? It must be just so great.
Yeah, he's like, they're hot audiences for sure.
Yeah.
Like you just have to like put your head down, do your little jokes,
Yeah. No.
you know, let people go to the bathroom, don't get insulted.
Yeah. Right.
You know,
Right.
it's like, wait a second, if 3,000 people, I'm watching 3,000 people walk away from me right now. But there are 15,000 people paying attention. Yeah. So
The most people that have ever walked away, while simultaneously the most people have ever paid attention.
Yeah.
Remarkable, dude. Okay, so I have a final question, the final topic I want to tackle, unless Lynch has any specific questions about this last segment.
No, I started doing comedy a little over a year ago, and I've done a couple bringers, and my experience is like what you said, where a lot of people come just for their friends and then they tune out, and they will squeeze 20 comics in these shows.
So savage.
And I got to go. I mean, it was a
20.
bucket pull, but I got to go 4th, which is like a pretty solid pull out of 20.
Oh yeah.
But I felt guilty because my friends are sitting there on the 18th, 19th, and 20th comic on a Tuesday night. It's like 11 o'clock, and they all came out from like Hoboken.
Paying primo too.
Yeah.
$25.
they're getting
drinks.
robbed.
Yeah. I learned that quickly.
Yeah.
But
he should have told you not to do that.
Look,
That's on him.
So no, fine. But I did say to him, I'm like, if you can get your friends to come, there is value to having that experience, because sometimes open mics will just be so crushing that it's nice to be able to get the real.
It's true. You deserve a win.
And your friends will be
You deserve a
happy.
win.
Yeah.
Your friends are ultimately happy.
People are happy. It is tough.
They tell you you're the best. It feels good.
But it is. You do deserve a win, and people feel good because they want to help.
Yes.
Like, oh, I saw you win.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah.
So
Today was a lot more Canadian obscure history, genocide history than I thought I was going to be talking about.
At least you never know. On
But
this
I can
show.
bring the heat if you'd like.
Dude, the heat has been brought, and there's some more heat that I would like to uncover here. Graham had hip surgery recently.
Oh yeah,
He was
young man.
He was down bad for
Your boy was down bad.
he was down bad. He could not get out of bed basically for a month. I want to hear about the whole arc, if you are able to do it quickly.
Okay, I'm a young man. All you ladies out there. I'm an elite athlete. It's important to that be the base of the story. So I played hockey growing up, obviously, and football, and I just grinded my hip to a pulp. I tore like a tendon in my hip like a long time ago, and I was young enough that my body could just sort of work around it.
So it wasn't like going to repair on its own.
No, I had to quit playing like college football.
And you said it was so it was like groin-ish or like, okay.
Yeah. And anyway, groin, it's like my hip. It's like right where like my leg connects to my body on the inside, like right by my nut.
Okay.
And sometimes I would feel it in my nut. And when it first started, I was like, oh, I got nut cancer. That's good. Anyway, long story short, I just got older and my body was like, I was playing a lot of basketball in the pandemic and I tweaked it and it never got better. It would always fix itself within 6 months. I would tweak it like every 3 years and then it would sort of fix itself. And it just took like 2 years and I was like, I got to go do surgery. And they had
But how did you decide surgery?
I went to see a doctor and got MRIs done and I saw a surgeon.
And the surgeon was like, what? Did anybody discuss the possibility of no surgery?
Yeah, he was like, you should try physical therapy. And then I found a good physical therapist 3 through Sam Rubinoff had the same surgery when he was in his 20s because he was a mountain biker, so he rocked his hip as well. And I found this physical therapist, and she was like, "We can fix it, no problem." Didn't fix it. I was paying out of pocket.
How often were you going?
Like once a week. So they would fit me in when there was a cancellation. It would only cost me $100. But if it wasn't, it was like $200. It's like every week for like months.
Yeah, dude. Fuck.
And it was getting a little better, but not really. And I still couldn't exercise. And I was like in the best shape of my life at the big end of the pandemic. And I was like, I was just getting doughy and depressed. And then, so they had to shave down my femur and reshape the socket. And they had to sew back together my tendon, my hip flexor, or my labrum. It's called a labrum. And so there's like 3 holes in my hip, and then it's a 6-month recovery. It's not a hip replacement. That's quicker, but you can't jog for the rest of your life
With a hip replacement.
And in 20 years, the plastic dissolves, and you have to get a new one. But I'm too young for that. Obviously. So I was like, I'll opt for this longer one that'll last longer. But it was like, I couldn't walk for 2 months. I live alone. I used to live with my ex, but I postponed the surgery a year because she got sick. And so she needed help, and it just didn't work out. And so I got into this cycle of trying to fix it with physical therapy. Anyway, I live alone. I live in like a New York walk-up apartment. My 75-year-old dad had to come and take care of me, which is like humbling as like a man.
Yeah.
Like your dad has to. He's like old.
And you also do a really funny portrayal of your dad as this like wholesome dad, which like I bet there was a lot of good moments. Son,
he's first of all, don't have an elderly person come take care of you. They're elderly.
Yeah.
He went to the hospital to like drive me to help me get home, and I had to like. He's like, "How do I get an Uber?" I'm like on fentanyl, like ordering an Uber. We have to go get the medicine.
Oh my God.
And then I'm like, "All right, Dad, I'm gonna wait in the Uber. You go get the medicine." I have to sit in the front seat, all the way reclined like a bed because I can't bend my hip. It has to be bed. And there's like blood coming down my leg, and I'm on fentanyl. And he goes into the pharmacy, and then he just never comes back. And meanwhile, the Uber's like, "This isn't a cab, dude. We have to go."
Jesus.
And I call my dad, and my dad goes, "Hello?" And I go, "Where are you?" He goes, "Oh, hi, Graham." I go, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Oh, yep. The nurse said that I needed the painkillers. I needed 2 things, like blood thinners and painkillers." And he goes, "Well, the lady at the pharmacy says that can't get the painkillers tonight. So I'll be out in a second." And I was like, "Dad, I need those." So I have to get out of the cab, the Uber myself.
God.
There's blood coming down my leg.
Oh my God, dude.
And then I walk in. She gives me the painkillers right away. I order another Uber. I've already ordered pizza. We're gonna miss. And so I'm like trying to time it so the pizza comes. I haven't eaten in 26 hours. We finally get home. Pizza. We arrive at the same time as the pizza man.
Finally.
My dad gets out of the Uber. He goes, "Pizza!" Runs up, grabs the pizza, and then walks up to the top of the stoop holding the pizza. And I'm like following him with blood coming down my leg. The Mexican pizza dude is like, "What the hell?" And then he helps me up the stairs. The pizza man helps me up the stairs.
Oh,
yeah.
Mr. Graham.
I was like, I wish there was cash. I want to give you like $20, man. Like,
Jesus, bro. Jesus. And then you're bedridden.
For 2 months.
And do they tell you, they're like, look, like if you start feeling
for 6
better,
days.
like do you start feeling better? And they're like, don't get up though, because it will not heal as well. Like, is there any of that?
Yeah, they're like, do not put any pressure on it. So I would like cook for myself on one leg.
And you had crutches?
I had crutches, yeah. Order groceries. I had a lot. It was all right. I had a lot of friends come over, and like one reason why I didn't do it in Canada is because A, I'm paying for insurance here, but B, my support system is here. Like I have like a ton of friends live in my neighborhood.
Yeah.
So I had like at least once a day I had people come hang out.
That's great.
and we just would have lunch or whatever. They'd bring food, or we'd like do whatever, watch
Yeah.
a movie. I'd lie on the couch. They'd sit in a chair beside the couch.
And you mentioned to me earlier today when we were just hanging, you're like, okay, well, I made sure that I tried to make up for lost time once I was healthy enough to perform by like loading my schedule. Were you preparing going into it as well? Were you like trying to work as much as you could, knowing that couple months would come and crush you basically, like financially?
Yeah. I was preparing. Nate was great.
Yeah.
Nate put like, I do my own thing, but like I would say a third of the time I'm on the road with Nate, quarter of the time, and then we bumped it up a little bit and helped pay for the surgery, and then it was awesome.
What a legend.
And it was awesome. His dad his dad opens for him, and his dad was like, I don't need to open for my son. You take one of my weekends. I was like, come on. He's like, dude, come on.
Wow.
And yeah, his dad is a funny magician, by the way, and just
sick.
absolutely murders. And then at the end of his set, he's the last opener, and then he gets emotional. He goes, thank you for helping my family. We're using the money to help other people, and he'll start to cry. And then the music will start. Nate will come out. People go crazy. And then Nate will go, yeah, that's not my dad.
But it is.
Yeah.
That's really funny. I need to get my dad to that level. I need to get big enough where I can. My dad has opened for me. Not actually. I put him on my show one time, and he was actually good. And he comes on this show, and he's good.
What is your dad? What does he do?
He's a professor, but he's a funny guy.
Oh, okay.
And
they're performers, professors.
Yeah. He's got potential. It would be fun someday to get him fucking on my arena show.
Yeah.
Got a little work to do before
My dad would be like, absolutely not.
But your hips feeling pretty good?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Yeah, I'm doing
And I know
well.
you said you've been testing it, and is it hard to get the confidence back to like do certain shit?
Yes. I just shot around with a friend today, like basketball. I love basketball, and like it was like scary.
How many months has it been?
7.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and have you like gone for a jog yet?
I jogged
Push-ups.
up a mountain.
Wow.
In Scotland.
Pain free?
Pain free. Yes.
Wow. What a great, did you cry?
I was smiling on the way home. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah.
Good for you, man.
Look for my special. I got 2 5-star reviews in Scotland.
Fuck yeah.
For my one-man show. It's called Pete and Me. It's about growing up being the only non-autistic sibling in my family.
Awesome.
It's a comedy show. Don't worry.
Well, are you going to continue doing it here?
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Do you have any
I'm gonna
dates
film.
yet?
I'm gonna do a special though.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Congrats.
I did an off-Broadway run last year. I'm gonna do another one, I think.
Any other exciting stuff coming up you want to plug, or your socials or whatever?
Just follow me on Instagram, Mr. Graham K, and TikTok, OK Graham K. My name's Graham, spelled like the cracker, Kay, like the letter. And I got a bunch of specials on YouTube. So just follow. My last one was Graham K live in a bowling alley.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, great comic, great guy. Follow him, support him. Catch me, Coastal Creative in Tampa, 20th and 21st of September. Funny Bone in Columbus, 13th of October. And here after the Crocodile 2 shows, 26th of October. At Oops Podcast, at Not Julio, at Not Julio G on TikTok and Snap. Lynchy?
Email us any of your stories or grievances at oopsthepodcast@gmail.com. And then check me out at Ryan is Really Polite on all socials. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. See ya.